Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Scott, and welcome to another episode of Judo Analysis. Well, in today's show, I want to analyze Uki Waza. Uki Waza means floating technique, but Uki means to float or skim or straddle over the surface of something. And it's an apt name for this technique, actually. And in today's show, I'm also going to get on to another topic that people confuse Uki Waza with other techniques, other sacrifice techniques. This is a Sutemi Waza, or sacrifice technique in Kodokan Judo. And people tend to confuse Uki Waza with some other sacrifice techniques that you will see when we bring it out here in these videos. Uki Waza is one of my favorite throws early in my career as a young athlete. And because I was a long-legged guy, I had long arms, and I could throw people pretty well with Uki Waza. But after a while, it just wasn't working for me, and I couldn't figure it out. And I finally figured out it was my grip. Okay, and I was usually pretty much a standard lapel and sleeve grip, or a back grip and a sleeve. But then I changed it, and when I did change it, I had a higher rate of success doing Uki Waza into what you're going to see today in today's videos. I did a 2-on-1 arm controlled situation, and it worked for me. It worked quite well. It's a great throw. It's also a great transition to ground fighting. Okay, so it was one of those things I call a total package. You not only get points for the throw, you get points for you get them on the ground, and you can finish them off on the ground. So it's a great transition. You'll see as we develop it here in these videos. So the real key point to start a good Uki Waza is to have good upper body control. Okay, have that good close, short, compact grip to each other. Have really tight to each other, not tight in a bad way, but close to each other, much like a boxer is in an infighting type situation. But if I can get that allows me to drop under my opponent and then throw them over my leg. And you'll see what as we do it here. Also, we're going to show how Uki Waza can be confused with another throw, like another Sutemi Waza called YOKO. And because in Uki Waza, you throw your opponent directly over his front or to his front corner. That happens often in YOKO as well. So these throws can be confused to a bit degree. So you'll see what I mean when we play it out here. We'll show it. Also, to finish up, we're going to show Uki Waza in a no-gi situation. Again, this is a great throw, and it's good for whether you have a gi or a no gi. And toward the end of the show today, in the last video, you will see how Derek was teaching this at John Saylor's training camp in Perrysville, Ohio, in a no gi situation. So anyway, Uki Waza is a really interesting technique, and it's underrated. It really is underrated. So I hope you enjoy the show and get a little more about Uki Waza. Here we go. Let's take a look at Uki Waza, and let's first, before we talk about this specific Uki Waza, Uki Waza means, Uki means to float, UKI, float, or to straddle over something, to skim over something, okay? Waza is technique, okay? So you're straddling, skimming them, floating them, technique, okay? There are a lot of variations of Uki Waza. It's a very good throw, actually. I think it's highly underrated. But it is a good technique. It's a sacrifice technique, or Sutemi Waza. But the difference between Uki Waza, YOKO OTOSHI, and TANI OTOSHI, they're three very similar sacrifice throws. Okay, it's just the direction you're throwing your opponent. Uki Waza, if I would be throwing Mike, I would be throwing Mike to his front or front corner, to his front. Okay, that's Uki Waza. TANI OTOSHI, valley drop. Okay, that's literally what it means, valley drop. I would be throwing him to his back side. The footwork is very, very similar. Very similar. The throws almost look identical except the direction of the throw. YOKO OTOSHI, side drop, or lateral drop, is an Uki Waza or TANI OTOSHI, but you're doing it to your opponent's directly to its side. And that's the difference. So they have three different names, and because of the three different directions. But they're very similar look. They're very similar look. So if you learn Uki Waza, you can pretty well pick up TANI OTOSHI or YOKO OTOSHI, or vice versa with any of those. They're very, very interchangeable. But So this version of Uki Waza, floating or straddling technique, skimming technique, is what we're going to do is same 2-on-1 cross grip, deep grip here like this. But this time Derek, instead of stepping in with his right foot and spinning, he's going to step pretty far across Mike and spin him over. There's going to be more torque, and it's a longer throw. And you'll see the difference when he does it. This is a little wider throw. He'll have to split a little wider too with his legs. So this is really kind of ideal for taller guys. Okay,
so as we take a big step here, you want to try and get past his foot. Okay, almost like you're going to turn the corner, but you'll never turn that corner. But as long as you keep that in mind, you won't go too shallow. So we take a big step.
there you go. And that's a real classic looking Uki Waza. Here's how you split wide, and the guy went totally over the front of your head. That is more what you're going to see. The first one, they could be confused a lot with, like I said, on a, the short, tighter inside. Look at the difference here. The grip, the foot. So watch Derek's foot. See, he's coming in shorter here, and then he's doing it. Now the second one, he's coming in wider, and that's the difference. Now that's going to measure out differently. When Derek does the shorter step inside, the choppier step to the inside, he's going to be throwing Mike more over his thigh. Okay. This one, you throw him more over the lower part of your leg. So let's look at that second one again. Watch how the lower part of the leg is where Mike goes over. See? So there's a bit of a difference there. It's subtle. It's still Uki Waza. It's just a little bit different application of Uki Waza. There you go. Okay, so that's a bit different application of Uki Waza.
Yeah, it'll appeal to some people more than others. If you got shorter legs, you tend to be shorter than your opponent. You might not be doing that variation, but it still works if you like a little bit more momentum in your throw.
And again, understand, this is just one grip to be used for Uki Waza. For any throw, you can do any number of grips, but this is a really good ideal grip. And because a lot of times, grip 2-on-1 just like you did. Look, if you're gripping a guy, we were talking about this. You guys were talking about this over there. Mike ain't stupid. He's not going to let Derek have his arm. He's going to pull it back in tight. When he does, that sets the move up better. So really, that grip is a good strong grip, because if he pulls that back, that's your cue to step in and let him have it. Okay?
And a lot of guys that have had wrestling will square up and try and push away, which is exactly what you want.
Yeah, you want, if he's nice and square, you're going to throw it. You're just going to clack it, So that's what it is. Do it one more time. Pull back from that grip. So if Mike does pull back,
Yep.
pull back. Well, wait, you got the idea, right?
Do it one more time.
All right. There you go. Okay?
It helps when you don't lose your grip.
Yeah. Try this. Josh, that was quite good.
Right. Right.
Take this in 2-on-1. You're going to come this side. Okay. All right. So basically, it's this, guys. We're going to start with this grip. Okay. We're going to get a 2-on-1. So Derek's got his right hand on Mike's sleeve here low. Okay. And his left hand is grabbing deep. Nice, strong back grip. Now, the key thing here, guys, is don't let this elbow float. You're going to be using this elbow and hand together. You're steering with a lot. You're doing a lot of steering with this left hand in this throw. Okay. You're also doing a lot of steering with this hand here. So your hikite and your surite are kind of interchangeable here almost, in a way. So what's going to happen is Derek's going to spin around and pull Mike's arm in, and as he does that, he's going to, this particular variation, we'll do another one later, he's going to step in kind of deep between Mike's legs and split his own legs and drop him, like he does. There you go. That's not too good. See how the grip is? Real tight grip. See that? And when he steps in, now, so his right hand is low on the sleeve. And as he does that, that's when he lowers his level. He drops really low and he splits. And there you go. When he throws it, when Derek throws Mike, he's throwing him pretty much in the thigh area, across his thigh. The thigh is where you're going to be doing it. So it's a pretty deep step into it. Okay.
So if I have a hold of this, okay, now what I can do is I can actually start working his legs. Now the easiest one that I found is, again, if I'm going forwards and backwards and it's not working so well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and push again, and if he pushes back into me.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Okay.
Do it again.
Down, okay, I'm pushing here, okay, he pushes back, I try it again, he pushes back.
And judo guys, that's Uki Waza.
Yeah.
Okay, you old timers, Uki Waza.
Right, it's not backwards. That's the one big thing I want to stress here. I'm not coming back here and then rolling back and doing this, okay? I'm pushing him and then I'm turning sideways and tripping him sideways. Just like that. Okay? If I was going to do it without the movement, okay, I would turn this way. And see how he twists over there? If I go backwards, I don't have the torque anymore of his head and shoulders. But if I turn sideways, okay, sideways, right? You can also rotate out this way and catch him. The back of your calf or your foot or your heel should make contact with the leg.
The obvious thing here, guys, is the leg. Everybody saw the leg was, everybody keyed in on that, didn't they? The hips are the important thing.
Right.
The movement of his hips, that's why he said this works, and it does, because his hips shift under him. It's not a leg throw, you don't stick your leg out and he falls over it. How he stepped under, can you demo again? Watch the hip movement this time instead of the leg so much. See the hips? We always say, everything leads with the hips. We start in that. There's a great example of it, controlling with the hips.